Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about 5 things that are widely believed, routinely repeated, and backed by decades of cultural reinforcement that the research has either significantly complicated or outright contradicted. I want to be clear about something before we get into it. I am not here to be contrarian for the sake of it. I am not here to tell you that everything you know is wrong. What I am here to do is point to the places where the dominant narrative around nutrition has been shaped by industry funding, outdated science, and cultural convenience, and where the current research is saying something meaningfully different. The first lie is that fat makes you fat. This idea dominated nutritional guidance from the 1980s onward, producing decades of low-fat dietary recommendations, an explosion of low-fat processed products, and a cultural equation between dietary fat and body fat that is not supported by the current body of evidence. The reality is considerably more nuanced. Dietary fat is not a monolith. The fat in an avocado, a piece of wild salmon, or a handful of walnuts behaves completely differently in the body than the oxidized polyunsaturated fats in refined seed oils, and differently again from the natural saturated fats in grass-fed dairy. According to research, dietary fat, particularly monosaturated and omega-3 fatty acids. The second lie is that eating frequently throughout the day speeds up your metabolism. The idea that 3 meals plus 2 snacks keeps your metabolic fire burning and prevents your body from entering starvation mode is one of the most persistently repeated pieces of dietary advice in mainstream nutrition and one of the least supported by current evidence. According to research, meal frequency has no meaningful independent effect on total daily energy expenditure in individuals with equivalent caloric intake. The thermic effect of food, the energy cost of digesting and processing what you eat, is determined by what you eat and how much, not by how many times you eat it. In one study, participants eating the same daily calories in 2 meals versus 6 showed no significant difference in resting metabolic rate or fat oxidation over 12 weeks. What frequent eating does do, particularly when those meals and snacks are carbohydrate heavy, is keep insulin elevated for a greater proportion of the day, reducing the time the body spends in a low insulin state where fat oxidation and cellular repair processes, including gut lining regeneration through autophagy, occur most efficiently. The gut, in particular, benefits from periods between meals. The migrating motor complex, the gut's housekeeping system, only activates in the absence of food. Constant eating interrupts it. The third lie is that all calories are equal. A calorie is a unit of energy. In a combustion chamber, the calorie in a gram of white sugar and the calorie in a gram of walnuts are identical. In a human body, they produce completely different hormonal, microbial, and metabolic responses, and those responses determine whether the energy is burned efficiently, stored as fat, or used to repair and maintain the systems that keep you functional. The gut bacteria do not count calories. They respond to the structural complexity, the fiber content, the polyphenol density, and the processing level of what they are fed. And their response shapes your health in ways that no calorie calculator accounts for. The fourth lie is that dairy is essential for bone health and calcium intake. This one has been so deeply embedded in public health messaging, and so thoroughly supported by the dairy industry, that questioning it still feels almost transgressive. But the research on dairy, calcium, and bone health is significantly more complicated than the drink your milk narrative suggests. According to research, countries with the highest dairy consumption do not show correspondingly lower rates of osteoporosis, and in some analyses, the relationship runs in the opposite direction. Calcium absorption and bone mineral density depend far more on vitamin D status, vitamin K2 availability, magnesium intake, resistance, exercise, and overall dietary acid load than on calcium intake alone. A diet high in processed foods and refined grains generates a more acidic systemic environment that the body buffers by drawing calcium from bone, regardless of how much calcium is consumed. The fifth lie is that a supplement can replace a nutrient you are not getting from food. This is the one I want to be most careful with, because supplements are genuinely useful in specific contexts to address documented deficiencies, to correct specific gaps, to support particular therapeutic goals. I use them. I recommend paying attention to them. The lie is not that supplements are useless. The lie is that a supplement delivers the same biological value as the food source of the same nutrient. According to research, food-based interventions consistently outperform supplement-based interventions for gut health outcomes, specifically because the gut microbiome responds to the full complexity of whole food, not to isolated compounds. In one study, equivalent doses of vitamin C from whole food sources versus synthetic ascorbic acid produced significantly different bioavailability, outcomes, and meaningfully different gut microbiome effects. The molecule was the same. The context it arrived in was not. Supplements fill gaps. They do not build foundations. And a health strategy built primarily on supplementation rather than food quality is a strategy built on a lie about what the body actually needs. The truth is that your gut, your metabolism, and your long-term health are shaped by the full complexity of what you eat, not by its fat content, its calorie count, its calcium percentage, or its supplement stack. Real food, eaten in genuine variety, at reasonable intervals, in a body that is not chronically under stress, is the foundation. Everything else is a detail. I hope this gave you something to think carefully about. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 5 surprised you most. I read all of them. If this was useful, hit the like button and share it with someone who deserves a more honest conversation about what they eat. And if you're new to NutriFlow, subscribe and hit the bell. This is exactly what we do here. See you in the next one.